Okay, we're live.
All right, we are live. Yeah. Hey, everybody, how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good.
Thumbs up.
Doing
Doing
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So it is the top of the hour, and we're going to get this seminar kicked off. So we are so excited for you to join us tonight. We have a full agenda. We have a panel of experts in front of us. We have a lot of information to share. We're all very excited to be here. But of course, there's a few housekeeping issues that we got to take care of. First, my name is Mike Jenkins. I'm with the Jenkins Realty Group. And I think I speak for all of us here to say we are, again, very excited for you to join us here tonight. I have the privilege and honor to be your guide. Excuse me, as we walk through, which is probably going to be one of the largest purchases of most people's lives, and that is the purchase of a new home. But of course, I would be amiss if I didn't stop right now and wish everybody a happy Veterans Day. Thank you to the veterans out there. If you're a veteran, if you know a veteran, thank them. Really, we're all here because of what they have done. So thank you to all your veterans out there. If you're tuning in, great. We appreciate you being here. Also, you may be a first-time home buyer, or you may be a second or third time buyer who's considering getting back into the market and considering selling and purchasing a home. But let me remind you that the process can be a little bit overwhelming and exciting at the same time. You may be wondering, where do I start? Or what can I afford? Or what is this whole process like? Well, that's exactly what we are here for tonight, to take the mystery out of it. And our goal is to make you a little bit more confident and informed when that next step comes along for you to purchase a new home. So we're going to be covering the full home buying process, everything from going out and finding that perfect home to the financing and pre-approval process, all the way through inspections, the closing at the title company, and making sure that that new asset that you have purchased is insured. So relax, take some notes, enjoy the conversation. As I mentioned earlier, we're giving ourselves an hour for this seminar. So I want to be very respectful of everybody's time. We're going to keep things moving along as we talk to each vendor. If you have any comments, drop them below. Let us know where you're from, what your status is, so we can follow up with you. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. And you're going to find through this whole process, you're really hiring a team, because it takes a team to get this job done. Now, we've assembled a great lineup of professionals who, along with their teams, are going to make sure that their role in getting you to the finish line of purchasing a new home is smooth and seamless. And again, we like to keep it exciting, but we're here to make it stress-free as well. So just to introduce our panelists now, the first person that we're going to talk to in a little bit is Marilyn Torres Jenkins. And Marilyn obviously is the better half of the Jenkins Realty Group. So Marilyn is going to walk us through, the process of helping new buyers in that home buying situation, and kind of tell us what's going on in the real estate world. Then we have Julian Calderon. Julian is joining us from Neighborhood Loans, and Julian is going to talk to us about the loan process, pre-approvals, what kind of loan is good for your budget and based on the situation you're at. So Julian, you all ready to go tonight?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Cool. Next, we have Kendall Buzan, and Kendall is joining us from Lawyers Title. And Kendall is going to share with us how important title is to your home ownership. Kendall is going to make sure that she is the liaison between buyers and sellers, and make sure that we get to the closing table and that the whole process goes seamless so you can move into your new home. Then we have Tom Rombach, and Tom joins us from A-Level Home Inspections. Of course, after you've bought this new asset, you want to make sure that it's defect free. So Tom and his team will come in, share a little bit about the inspection process and what to look for, any kind of things that are common these days to watch out for in inspections. Finally, you've spent a lot of time and money on purchasing this new asset. You want to make sure it's protected. So Kim is going to educate us on the insurance process. Very hot topic these days is the homeowner's insurance. So Kim is going to educate us all a little bit on the homeowner's insurance. So last thing I want to say is tonight is not a sales pitch. Tonight is really about education and empowerment. We want you to leave tonight feeling a little bit more confident and informed about that process when the time comes. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this and want to introduce our first guest tonight, the person who's going to help you find that right home, lay the foundation for what you need to do in purchasing a home. And I'm going to turn it over to my wife, Marilyn Torres Jenkins. So, hey, Marilyn, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Mike. Hey, guys, as he said, welcome. And we're really excited to be here tonight. And hopefully, if you're a first-time home buyer, or as he said, maybe you've been living in your home for a few years and you don't know the process, we want to be able to give you a roadmap on that, on how to buy a home, right? And you may be thinking, well, do I want to buy a home right now? You know, the interest rates are so high. There's something that we always say in the real estate industry is you marry the home and you date the rate. You know, if you are leasing a home, if you are renting an apartment, every time you write that monthly check, how much interest do you think you're paying on that home? 100%. So would you rather pay 100% or 6% right now? And, you know, interest rates fluctuate. Julian's going to cover that. But you may be saying, okay, so I want to buy a home. What's my first step? Well, your first step is to partner up with a real estate agent. And this is an interview process, guys. This is something that you just don't pick someone up out of the phone book or out of Google and just partner with them. Have a meeting with them, meet them face to face. How do you communicate with them? What is the vibe that you get from that person? What kind of questions are they asking you? Are they asking you questions that concern your goals, your needs, your wants, right? You may have to be near a good school district. You may have to be near some hospitals or medical facilities, or maybe you're looking for amenities, right? Those are all important things that you need to consider. And so you need to feel comfortable because that agent is going to be your advocate. They're going to guide you. They're going to educate you. They're going to do research for you. So they need to be what we used to call back in the banking industry, the subject matter expert, right? They need to know that so that they can help and guide you in that direction. But before we can do that, we need to get pre-approved.
So pre-approved, I imagine we're going to be jumping over to Julian real quick. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. Julian, tell us a little bit about that loan process.
Perfect. So can you guys hear me all right?
We got you. You're good.
Perfect. All right. So yes, there's a lot that goes into buying a home, especially when you're working with a great lender. But we're going to cover pre-approval. We're going to cover credit readiness, and we're also going to cover some down payment myths that I just love debunking. So before we get to that pre-approval stage, I actually want to start with a debunking of the down payment. So a little bit about myself. I recently got married 2 months ago, and I'm talking to my wife, and we are looking to buy a home. And she told me, no joke, yesterday or 2 days ago, she was like, hey, I don't think we can buy a home by the new year because we don't have 20% down. I was like, you don't need 20% down. That's the biggest myth that we've heard, for so long. And it's just simply not true. Is it ideal? Sure, but it's not necessary to buy a home. So touching a little bit on that, especially for first-time home buyers, we have so many opportunities depending on what kind of loan that we choose based, of course, on your specific scenario. But if we're going with an FHA loan, for example, you need as low as 3.5% down. That's a very big swing. 3.5 to 20 is a very, very big swing. If you look at getting a conventional loan, you need as low as 3% down. And then for special circumstances, you can go even as low as 0% down if you qualify. That is for our VA loan. So thank you to all of those who have served and are currently serving. And then a USDA loan as well. You can go as low as 0% down. And there's so many rules and regulations and whatnot, but depending on your scenario, we are happy to assist with all that.
Okay.
So now that we've covered some of those down payment myths, let's talk about the pre-approval process. So what is a pre-approval? A pre-approval essentially is a golden ticket. And what do you do with that golden ticket? So I give you the pre-approval for a loan of an X amount. You give that golden ticket to your realtor. What does that show your realtor? It shows them that you are ready. You have the green light and you're financially ready to afford a home within that purchase amount. That also shows a seller that once you and your realtor get into contract, that you are a serious buyer and that you are really wanting that home. So what all does come into a pre-approval? Essentially, we do what is called a profile creation. We look at your credit, we look at your income, your debts, all that good stuff, and we essentially build a big picture of your financial picture. We build a financial picture, and then we can see for how much we can pre-approve you for. Another question that I love to answer is how fast can I get a pre-approval? And I love to tell all my clients this: I work as fast as you do. If you are already looking for homes, you have a home in mind, you think it's in your price range, and you want to put an offer tomorrow, as soon as we get the profile creation started and you get me those documents that I've requested, I can get a pre-approval within 24 to 48 hours. And that is not me handing out a pre-approval left and right. We do our due diligence. That way, once we do get into contract and we do get to the closing, there is nothing stopping you from getting into that beautiful home that you've chosen.
Awesome.
And then, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's great, right? Because we want to do our due diligence. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So, yes, sometimes depending on the scenario, it may take us a little longer than 48 hours. But we're going to be communicating with you the whole way through. That way, you know where we are in the process.
And Julian,
and then,
it
yes,
can
ma'am.
lock your rate in for a certain amount of time, right? So that way they don't lose their spot, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we can typically lock the rate. It depends on the scenario, about 30 to 60 days.
That's awesome.
Typically 30 days is going to be your normal lock rate for that. And then the pre-approval is also good for a roughly 120 days. So you can take some time to find a home with your realtor. So it's not just a week or a day. It's going to be some time. The other thing that I want to cover as far as the lending perspective is the credit. What kind of credit do you need to buy a home? So first thing, you do not need a perfect credit. Depending on your situation, if we go an FHA loan, you can go as low as 580 FICO credit score. And even then, there's special circumstances. It's not as easy, but you can get approved even below 580. That is with an FHA. A conventional, as low as 620, and you have probably even heard in the news that they're doing away with that 620 minimum. So there's some wiggle room there. Credit readiness does not have to be perfect, and neither is the whole your whole scenario. So you may be closer to home ownership than you think. You just need to partner with the right real estate agent, the right lender, the right level home inspector, and we can get you into your first home.
Hey, Julian, I have a question because we get
Yes.
this all the time. Pre-qualification, pre-approval.
Yeah, so a pre-qualification is essentially a brief overview of your financial picture. We are not that we're not doing our due diligence, but a pre-qualification is we're looking at a brief overview of your income, your credit, your debts. While a pre-approval, we are really looking, like I mentioned earlier, looking at a big picture of all of your income and assets, your credit. And so when we do hand out a pre-approval, we actually by this point have done a hard pull on your credit, so we know that that's going to be good.
Yeah.
And so like I said earlier, essentially with the pre-approval, with the hard pull, we're giving you a golden ticket to start finding a home within that home loan range.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Julian.
Yes, sir.
Let's say I come in and you quote me a rate and 2 weeks later the rates drop. Am I stuck with the original rate or?
So it all depends, really. Technically yes and no. But if we have locked the rate, there is a price sheet, and I can't go outside of that price sheet.
Okay.
But if I have not locked you, then we will go based on what the market is in that time.
All right. Great.
Good question.
Good. Thanks for all those questions. So once somebody has been now pre-approved, pre-qualified, they meet your guidelines, they're ready to purchase a home. Let's throw it back to Marilyn. What would be the next step that you would take with that person?
Absolutely. Yeah, that pre-approval is golden. So our next step, the fun begins. Now we can get to start looking at homes. As your agent, we'll set you up on what we call a search, right? And you start getting homes within the guidelines, the parameter that you want it, location, price point, right? Because now you have that buying power, right? And something that I forgot to mention earlier is that this is the prime time as a buyer, because we are in the North Texas area. I don't know about across the United States, but we are what we call a buyer's market. We have so much inventory right now, from existing home sales to new construction. And so with that pre-approval and you're ready to go, we can start looking at homes, start lining those up. And when you find that home that you want, that's where the negotiations begin. And that's where, we would help you with the documentation, because there is a lot of paperwork when it comes to buying a home, and everybody can attest to that. And so you need a team behind you. You need a realtor that understands the documents, because you're going to be signing these important documents to be able to make that offer. So we get that packet ready, and we present it to the seller or to their agent. And that's when the negotiations begin, because they don't usually accept the first offer that's given. And so once we begin those negotiations, then we agree upon it. Everybody signs, it's dated. We turn all of that over. And along with that, there are some monies that are going to be due with that. And one of those is the earnest money deposit, which Kendall will talk about, and then the option fee. But I want to bring that out because the option fee is an opportunity within the contract that you as a buyer have several days, depending on what we choose, 5 days, 7 days, whatever, to be able to get the home inspected, right? And so because you want to be able to make sure that you're getting a good product. But once we get those documents signed, we turn those over to the title company.
Okay. So it sounds like we're going to talk to you for a little bit, Kendall, about the title process. So why don't you walk us through, once you receive a contract from the buying side of this transaction, tell us what title does.
Yes, thank you. So we love working with first-time home buyers. However, when when you're buying your first home, it's easy to focus on the fun parts, right, Marilyn? Finding the right neighborhood, decorating, planning, that first get together that you could see yourself and or your family in the house with. But what you're not thinking about are the ownership or the title of the property, right? And title is simply what proves you legally own your home. It shows that no one else can come back later and claim that they own the property, or that there's an unpaid debt tied to it, right? And so truly, title and title insurance is protecting your most valuable asset. For many families, their home is going to be the largest investment that they make in their lifetimes. And so it's really important that you partner with not only a reputable title company, but also reputable agents. And then also, you respect all these key individuals that are on this with us today are very important in the process. And it's just crucial to be partnered with those individuals in each facet. But title, and what is title insurance? So I briefly said, title insurance protects your most valuable asset, right? It's unlike any other insurance policy. Typically, insurance policies for auto and home protect the future claims, right? Title insurance protects past, okay? The history, the fingerprint of the home is what I like to call it. And so, maybe there was an unpaid tax bill or a forgotten heir who claims ownership to that home, a contractor who never got paid and has placed a lien for that money's due. Those are things that pop up when we, the title company, do a deep dive into the history or the fingerprint of the home. And so basically it's just bringing you peace of mind that once you buy the home, it is yours free and clear. You pay for it one time at closing, and it protects you for as long as you own the home. So there's no monthly to it. It's a one-time cost that is a part of your closing costs, and that's all wrapped up in a little bow, and it's set. And so, we've talked about how we go and we get pre-approved and we go find the home, we've made the offer, we've come to terms. Now, once negotiations have ceased, all parties are solidified into a deal, right? And the real fun begins. So that's when the title company opens title. Okay. And when we open title, that is when we begin our deep dive search onto the property, and double checking any, liens, judgments, whatever that looks like. If the home has an HOA involved in it, then we're ordering those resale certs to make sure that it is conveyed over to you as well. That's when our escrow teams really come into play, and the importance of those, whether, they are well-versed in airships or in affidavits or removing judgments, right? There's a specialty across all the boards. So opening title is like the first official step in transferring ownership over to you. And it's how the transaction becomes a coordinated process. And then once we kind of move all right along, you've deposited, Marilyn had said earlier, earnest money. Right. And earnest money is simply the intent, right, of the buyer to put earnest into the property. And so escrow holds those funds, and it's just showing the seller that there is either a large intent or a little intent on the buyer. And so we hold those funds and they stay in our escrow account. Okay. You also have the option money, and we obviously that goes directly to the seller. That does not go to us. We are a neutral third party from the start to finish, right? And so we protect both parties. So the buyers have their buyer's agents, Marilyn and Mike. The sellers have their selling agent, whoever that may be. And we, the title company, get to become the third party or the neutral party. And so real estate and buying home and selling homes are very emotional, especially because it is such a large investment. And sometimes, even though the black and white paper says something, you need somebody else to help dictate some of those issues that may arise as things get emotional. And so that's where we get to come and play. So our escrow officers will be in communication with you throughout the entire process. We coordinate with buyers, the sellers, the agents, the inspectors if they need to come and take a look at the property, attorneys if they're involved for whatever reason, LLCs. Those are certain documents we're coordinating with the mortgage broker to get those handled. And so, we are basically taking all of the documents, all of the title commitments, all of the HOAs, and putting it into this nice, neat little package for that way it is ready for closing day, which is another really, really exciting day. That's when you get to come to the title company or wherever and celebrate, because that's the day that you get to sign on the dotted line and say, yay, we've made it. So that is the final day. That's the exciting part, and our job and Marilyn's job and Mike's job, mainly our job, they just say, okay, looks great, is to make sure it all matches, right?
Right.
Make sure everything looks good, there's no defects, no monies are unbalanced, all that kind of fun stuff. And so we'll do the closing, and then once the loan funds, the escrow officers will record the deeds with the county, and that officially makes you the owner of the property. And so, escrow just, ensures that no monies and no keys, everything is protected along the way until that funds and everything is cleared. So, yeah.
Something that
sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say that something that also we see a lot of fraud, right? And a lot of things. And so I know that you guys play a very integral part in protecting buyers and sellers, right?
Oh, yes. I was just about to add, some of the common things that, may not necessarily you could think of when you're buying a home, but would delay closing would be, errors in the legal description or names on the past deeds, right? So we're looking at the survey and making sure if there is an existing survey, right, what does the legal description look like? Are we approving it? There's no encumbrances, whatever that may be. Last minute lender documents, right? We're having high communication with that lender, so that way there is no delay in the passing and getting us balanced. Any outstanding liens would have come up early on in the transaction, so by the time we get to the closing table, those things are all handled. And that's nothing that you have to worry about as a buyer. That is our job. That is where we come into play, and that's our specialty, right? And so we get to help you avoid those headaches, and we handle all that. So, yes,
Great.
yes, not your burden whatsoever.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. Yes, and a title company is very important because they again are the conduit between buyers and sellers and keep that process moving along. So yes, we can get to closing and everybody can own their home and get paid for all of our hard work. So Marilyn, you have anything to add into the title company or?
No, I just think it's a big part. And as Kendall said, that's the behind the scenes. And so thank God for them, because it makes our jobs easier. And it reassures the buyers and the sellers that we're able to come to, closing day without any issues. So very important.
And the last thing that I'll add, if I could real quickly, it does matter. Not all title companies are the same, right? There are independent title companies, and then there are those that are protected. Lawyers Title, for example, is a part of Fidelity National Financial. So we are backed by one of the largest companies around in the United States. And that is important because yes, we're going to clear the title when you purchase it. But when you go to sell the property, 5-10 years down the line, if that time ever comes, or say you pass it on to your children or different heirs, right? When they go to sell the property, whomever it is, if they need to go back and unfortunately there is a claim or whatever the situation, if that title company is no longer in business,
Right.
There's nobody to insure the claim or the home, right? So it's very important, many reasons why it's important, but to have a reputable title company with a very strong backing is probably one of the most important things.
Yeah. Awesome. Great information from everybody there. Appreciate it. So we've got the house picked out. We've got the loan in process. We're at the title company. We want to make sure that there's no defects and that the home is built well. So we're going to go jump over to Tom Rombach with, again, A-Level Home. And Tom, tell us about the inspection process now that you come in and you want to reassure that buyer that everything is good.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. First time home buyers, there's a lot, and I want to help. They're going to, their emotions are going to run the gambit, right? And I want to help them navigate some of those emotions. So when they come in and they're like, oh, I'm in love with this house, I'm going to help tell a little bit deeper story about the house and try and help educate why I got into home inspections. I'm a service-oriented person. I want to be part of this whole process and help these folks find maybe that forever home or that starter home where they can build a family or a future for themselves. So that's why I got into home inspection. But let's get to the home inspection itself and why they matter. Well, what I look at structural, roof, foundation, walls, basically fence line to fence line. We're looking at electrical, HVAC, plumbing, and grading issues as far as the water goes. Gutters, is the property properly graded so that water sheds off the property? Water, everything that's working against us as people walking this earth, gravity and weather, it's working against the house. So I'm looking for those types of things. But let's say if it's a 50-year-old house or a brand new house, good idea to get it inspected. 50-year-old houses are going to have their own little nuances, where brand new houses, we think, oh, it's brand new, it must be perfect. Well, you've got all kinds of different trades going in and out of the house. And I don't know about you folks, maybe you, Mike, I'm not perfect. The builders aren't perfect. I'm there to.
Yeah, we've seen stuff.
Yeah, I've seen some things.
We've seen things.
It doesn't mean that they're doing it on purpose. They're just
Mistakes happen.
They're people and they're not perfect. They're not having a good day. They take a shortcut. Somebody misses it. That's where you come in.
That's when I come in.
Right.
So, now a misnomer about home inspectors is I don't have x-ray vision. I can't see everything, but we have a lot of tools that help us see through walls, thermal imaging, even foundation stuff where I have a zip level and I can tell you a story about your foundation. Then if we go to the new builds and you're going to do a new build, a good idea to do a phase inspection. I can come look at the pre-pour before they even pour the foundation to make sure it's set up properly. I have been to many of them and seen stuff, little things like garbage in where the beams go. Yeah. Garbage should not be in there. Some bigger mistakes as far as plumbing not being properly sloped, those kinds of things. And then pre-drywall. I do a lot of pre-drywall also, making sure that the electrical is ran properly. I've seen it where it's literally just laying across metal gusset plates, and metal and wiring don't go together very well. So that's not to scare anybody. It's just, hey, mistakes happen. With older homes, we're going to run into some, things have been changed over the years. Codes have been upgraded. Yep. A real simple one is GFCIs, right? GFCIs many years ago, they didn't even exist. Now they exist. GFCI is what's called a ground fault interrupter. Basically, it triggers if there's a wrong grounding through the electrical system, and it'll shut the power source off. Well, it used to be they didn't even have them. Then they went to, well, they need to be within 6 feet of a water source. Well, now it's every kitchen, every bathroom, every garage, outdoors, and laundry rooms. Now, so little bit older homes, maybe not going to be up to grade, but we'll discuss that. But these are kind of some of the common things with older homes. Maybe the roof needs some TLC. And then with the newer homes, it's usually going to be maybe some missing flashing somewhere where a water penetration can get in. It's usually, those are more detail oriented stuff, like somebody just missed the details a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're going to ask me to do a home inspection for you, I'm going to say, hey, you are welcome to come visit me as I do the home inspection. I tell everyone, you paid for the time. This is your 2.5, 3 hours. You paid for it. Come follow me around. Ask me questions. I don't get bothered by that. But it's usually best just to wait till the end. You can follow me around and then save all your questions to the end. Come prepared to walk if you're going to follow me, and bring a notepad or have your phone there so that you can take good notes. The other thing is when you get the report, first time home buyers, here you go. Then you link, you pull open the report, you go, oh my goodness, what is all this? Yeah. Really, it's just the story about your house, and it's not a pass fail. Oh, that's a misnomer. People think, oh, my house passed or my house failed. Well, it's not a pass fail. It's a story about, these things are good. These things are not as good as they should be. We in the industry, we talk about, are the components working as intended? It may not always be pretty, but it's working as intended. And then on the other, as we dive deeper into it, we've got different kinds. We refer to everything as a deficient, or not everything, but the stuff I find is deficiencies. And you have deficiencies everywhere from safety, which would be, like I spoke of, maybe a missing GFCI somewhere, to what I would call, these are things that you might want to take care of. They're potential issues. And then all the way down to, hey, you're buying a home. Don't know if anybody told you, but there's maintenance when it comes to a home. Simple stuff, all the way down to changing out your air filter in your furnace. So you have all these 3 different categories of issues. And so between your agent and myself, we'll walk you through these concerns and help you understand them, and what needs to really be addressed, and what is more something you can address down the road when it comes to those maintenance issues. And then when it comes to me and my business, I am a single inspector company. When you call, if you Google some folks, or if you call somebody, the person you're talking to on the phone isn't always the inspector that shows up. And not to put them down at all, but when you work with multi-inspector companies, you got people that are coming and going a lot. I tell people it's like going to a fast food restaurant and expecting to have the same person behind the counter every time. When you go order a burger, rarely does that happen. Same thing with the larger inspecting companies. They have guys that come in and out. When you go with A-level home inspection, it's me. You get me. And like I said, before, you're welcome to come to the inspection, but you get me throughout the process. I show up, I do the inspection, I go through the report with you. I'll answer my phone. Call me, email, text me. I'll be there. Yeah, it can be scary and overwhelming, but everything, I've been doing this a while. I haven't found a home yet that I've said, hey, this can't be fixed. It all can be fixed.
Absolutely.
It's
yeah.
just a little story about the home you're purchasing, and me wanting to help educate you on. Nobody told me, before. I tell people this all the time. When you were renting, the water faucet started dripping, you just picked up the phone. Hey, Mr. Whoever, send somebody over. When you're a homeowner, it's on you. So you want to make sure that home is squared away day one, so that you just have to do some maintenance.
Yeah.
Forward.
Yep, absolutely. Isn't that the truth? So once the home is inspected, Marilyn, what may be the next step? I mean, between you and Tom, is there anything that we need?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, and I appreciate what Tom said, because home inspections for first-time home buyers or any buyer, whether it's a brand new construction home or it's an existing home, can be overwhelming. We've seen inspection reports that are like 80, 90 pages long. And you have a first-time home buyer and they're like, oh my gosh. And even that 30 minutes with Tom, we have to come back and sit down with the buyer and decipher all of that information. And the simple reason, and so we try to adhere to three things, three S's we call in the real estate industry when it comes to inspections, and that's safety, sanitation, and structural, right? And so we try to address these areas because sometimes, and Tom, you can attest to this, there might be a hole in the wall, or they might be a chip, or they may be something, there may be nail pops that come out, and those are all cosmetic, right? The carpet may be frayed, but those are things that you can, address later, but we want to address the safety, structural, and sanitation of the home. And so once our buyers, and we attend that last 30-minute meeting, because I think it's important to support our clients, right, when they're talking to the inspector. And then what I do want to say is that once we decide that, we repair what we put together what we call a repair request. And this is in a form of an amendment that we have to ask the buyer or the seller to repair, right? Now, in the state of Texas, it is not required for the seller to make any repairs. So they don't have to, even if it was a lender requested repair, if it's 5% more of the loan, they don't have to fix it. But do they not? Yeah. We had one client, a couple that moved from California, they had asked for some repairs and the homeowner said no. They were not going to repair anything. They were set on the way they were. And so we had to come back and tell our clients, this is it. And so they were already here. They wanted the home. And it wasn't major stuff. But nonetheless, the seller said, we were tapped out. We're not doing it. And that can happen. So that's a decision that we have to make. So at that point, you have to move forward. But I just wanted to let you know that it is not a mandatory thing in the state of Texas for sellers to make any type of repairs. And so then we take that information, we put in a nice little report, little documents, and we send it over to title. Because they, again, have to be the liaison and make sure that every single paperwork that they get from the lender, from everybody, that everything matches.
Okay. Awesome. Great information from the inspection back to the realtor, over to title. So we've almost got to the end here, but the most important thing that we need to do right now, Kim, is get this asset that has taken us a lot of time to purchase and we've spent a lot of money on it. Now we got to get insurance on it. So Kim is going to educate us on the hot topic of home insurance these days. So
absolutely. Now you get to do the fun part. You get to spend more money on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always try to educate people, especially we have so many people moving from out of state to Texas here. It's just a fact. California, Texas, and Florida are your highest premium states. And so I always try to educate people on that, but more important, the why it's more expensive, because I don't want them to get sticker shock when they move here, because that happens often. In Texas, we get almost every kind of peril that a state could get. We get fires. Like for right now, I've got certain areas in Texas we can't find coverage because we have a fire line issue from open fires. We get hurricanes off the Gulf. We get wind and hail 8 months out of the year. I think roofers would appreciate more, but I don't need any more. And to add to it, we have a lot of our homes are built on this clay dirt that just shifts and ruins foundations and pipes underneath the home, which most of the time isn't even covered under your home insurance. And then to add to it, in the last couple of years, we've liked to add in a whole new peril of these horrible ice storms that actually ruined a lot of homes and totaled them. It was pretty crazy. If you weren't in Texas when it happened, we had 7 days where a lot of people were without electricity. That froze all their pipes. And then once it thawed, we had some people who had water heaters that went off like bombs. All of that plays into how much it costs to insure your home. So once you fall in love with a home, you put in the offer, you're going to get a laundry list of things from Julian's processor that says, okay, if we want to be clear to close, we need all of these things. They have to have it all ready to give to title, so that way it's all buttoned up, so you're what's clear to close. To make sure you get the keys on that closing day and you take the fun picture, and you're not like me, you had your realtor over you saying they typed up the wrong address on this entire thing after you signed about 50 sheets in closing for them to start over. They had imposed the numbers to realize no one had the keys to the house.
Oh my
Boy.
It wasn't lawyer's title. I'm just
It was
kidding.
not, I promise. But when you finally get there, we ask a lot of questions about the home. We do a lot of research on the home. We look at the year built. We ask the age of the roof. That's a big factor in the state of Texas. And then we have to determine how many claims you as a customer is coming to the table that you've filed in the last 3 to 5 years, what kinds of claims. And then we also look at the kinds of claims that have been filed on that house that you're purchasing. We have some people who come to close and don't realize that the prior owner has filed 3 claims in the last year, and they're not eligible with every carrier anymore. A lot of people don't realize that if there's been a theft at that property or a fire in that property in the last 3 years, most carriers will not touch it. You then have to go to a surplus market or a higher risk insurance company, and the premium's going to be more. And that matters because when you go to closing, whether you realize or not, buttoned up in all those closing fees, you're paying the entire first year of your home insurance premium. And so if you wait till the last minute, the nice little estimate that they gave you of what your monthly was going to be for your mortgage and what you needed to be for closing is going to completely change. And I see a lot of people get frustrated when that happens because a filler premium will get put in, and then we find out something happened on the back end, or you're in a volunteer fire department area where a fire department doesn't come out to you really if your house catches on fire. They only come out to make sure that house next door doesn't burn. That's a huge risk, and they charge a lot more for home insurance that way. One of our highest growing cities in Texas was recently like that up until this year, and they finally built a new fire station. So we try to find the best way to get you to close. We get it over to the lender so that way it's quickly done and the processor isn't waiting on us. So that way all your numbers are buttoned up and you know exactly how much you're going to have to bring to the closing table. We think that that's really important. When I went to close on my home, I told the lender, I can bring this much, not a dime more. I'm writing the check right now. You can't change it. Anything else has to be rolled into the loan. So we always try to be upfront with that to make sure you're good. If a lender tells you that you have to be under a certain debt to income ratio, that generally the only place where we can play with those numbers is normally the insurance. And we can work with you on that to make sure you're good to close, but we're writing you a proper policy, even if you have to pay the difference on the back end. One offer that we give in all of our farmers home insurance policies, we actually cover your appliances through a separate endorsement. If you don't want to pay for a home warranty that can be $400 or $500 for the first year, we have a simple endorsement that's $65 a year that'll even cover your HVAC if it breaks down to electrical, mechanical, or pressure system breakdown. We try to offer that to people because, to Tom's point, even if a home is brand new and it's built by the builder and you think everything's shiny and brand new, I promise you that does not It does not mean it was done right. It doesn't mean it was done up to code. We bought a brand new home. No one had ever lived in it. We were super excited. We kind of rushed through our inspection with the builder. And I wish I would have had an inspector come up front. They gave us an option for an inspector come at the 12-month mark. And my husband, who's very handy, thought he would take out a wall underneath the stairs to make one of those cute little rooms for the dog.
Right. Yeah.
That's where the builder used for their trash.
Just like Tom had said.
Yep. There were Coke cans, Gatorade bottles. There was an actual entire to-go box with fish bones. Like I don't even know. So you never know what's in your wall. But we try to help you that way. If something goes wrong, we're there to cover it because it is the most expensive asset you're probably ever going to buy.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure you're good. We always educate people, especially if they're near a body of water as well. There's a lot of lakes in Texas. Flood insurance, people think that it's just going to be covered in their home insurance. It's not. It's a separate policy governed by FEMA, and you have to get it completely different coverage. No home insurance in Texas is going to add it to your policy. It's going to be completely separate policy, and it's optional. So unless the mortgage company is saying you are in an extreme flood zone and you're requiring it, it is up to you to buy that. And a lot of people don't educate you on that.
Right. They don't say anything.
Yep. That's the good and bad when it comes to insurance. We try to check it at every renewal and see what we can do for you and just make sure you're covered when the worst happens.
Kim, so you mentioned something earlier as far as past claims. So how do you advise or, a prospective buyer when they're looking at a home? Do they reach out to the insurance, or does the insurance, and will they, talk to them about that?
Absolutely. So we run what's called a clue report. And sometimes I'll have realtors who are worried about a home that they don't really know the background. They say, hey, can you tell me if any claims have been filed on this home? And we run it. If a claim has been opened, the hardest part is it does not matter if a dime has been paid out or $0 has paid out. A claim is a claim, and underwriting is going to wonder what happened in this house. We always advise to call us as an agency if you think anything is wrong. If your neighbor is getting a brand new roof and you're worried you have hail damage, we ask you, do not call the 1-800 number. Let's send a professional out to see if something is claim worthy. We use that term a lot because once you file the claim, the damage is already done to your policy. Normally, I can look at a claim and see, okay, how much paid out, what type of claim to kind of figure out to give you the wording to ask the seller's realtor, hey, can you give us some detail on what happened here? How was it fixed? It gets very worrisome when it's a water damage claim and we don't see how much was paid out, meaning it was either under deductible or someone tried to fix it themselves. We just want to make sure that it was done properly and it's not going to leak again. And then you've got multiple water claims against you because that's going to be rough.
Yeah.
So if somebody was to purchase a home that had those defects with it, would we maybe expect to see that in a seller's disclosure? Marilyn, maybe we would talk about seller's disclosures a little bit. Are they worth?
Sure. Seller's disclosure, we're supposed to, have those in the state of Texas. It's required. But the information is as good as the person writing it. So, sometimes they don't know, they're not aware of it. Sometimes maybe it's a home where the owner doesn't live in the home, right? So they can't, it's an investment property, right? And so it was a rental property. And so now they're trying to sell the home because they don't live in the state. They don't want to take care of it. So they really can't put anything. So we don't know. That's why, again, it's really important. We do require a seller's disclosure according to the property codes of Texas. But there again, it's always important to have an inspection done on the home, whether it's new construction or existing sale, because you just never know. And, so.
I had one last month where the seller's disclosure, it's to the eye of the beholder, right? They put that they had an appliance loss. There was a huge, massive water claim. The water heater had burst and took out 2 rooms in the process. Well, an appliance loss makes it sound like, the fridge broke.
The toaster broke.
Yes, this was a big difference. And that was scary to the potential buyer because they thought no water issues. And we were looking at a $36,000 claim.
Wow.
So it's how they want to paint it, and they're going to paint it in the best light they possibly can.
Right. So,
So Kim, I just had a couple of questions here about, the deductibles have changed a lot around Texas. So there was 1%, now there's mainly 2%. That was the first question. And the other is, how long, in the whole process, how long does it take for somebody to, get approved for their final homeowner's insurance?
Absolutely. So in Texas, you generally have two different deductibles. One is anything not wind and hail. So that'd be fire, theft, anything like that. A pipe burst and water goes everywhere. And that's normally 1 year wind and hail deductible. In most parts of the state of Texas, it's 2% for most carriers. Not all, but most, because Texas is such a high premium state and we have so many perils. Instead of just continuing to beat a dead horse of increasing rates, they take what's called non-rate action by trying to change the coverage and put more on the customer as a risk, instead of just raising the rates to make them, unobtainable, to be honest. So that was the best way that they could come up with to try to mitigate that. When you get a home quote, if someone texts me and I only really need 5 things to run a home quote, we know within 10 minutes. I put it in the information, it pulls up the claims. We know if you're eligible right then and there. Once in a while, a random odd claim might pop up where we have to get more details, right? For example, if I have a $0 water claim, or if I have 2 back-to-back, I'm going to have to ask, why did you continue to file water claims? Did something actually break? Did you not fix it? What were those? But generally, we can know within a couple of minutes.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. So that's something that it's not time is of the essence, but you do want to get communication with you quickly so you know what your budget is going to look like.
Absolutely. I have people that have fallen in love with a home that just happened to be in the wrong area with too many claims, and the home insurance was just going to take them out of the box for being eligible for this home, and it broke their hearts. And I said, hey, I can make it where you could afford it, but it won't really cover you. So you got to decide what you're comfortable with. And so they decided to pass on the home. I even sent them to get quotes from other carriers, and they were like, there was nothing cheaper out there. You were honest about it. And that happens sometimes.
Yeah. So we got a couple of minutes to circle back with anyone, in the course of the conversation. Was there anything that came up that maybe you wanted to add on, Tom, Julian, Marilyn, Kendall, we just got a couple of minutes to kind of wrap up this hour here. So does anybody have anything they want to follow up on?
Yeah, I have something on the new builds. A lot of you folks maybe watching this. If you go to buy a new build and you walk into an office at one of these master plans, they're all over the Metroplex, and you walk into one of those houses and the nice person at the desk says, I would love to sell you a house. Remember, that is not your agent. They work for the builder. Please pick up the phone, text Mike or Marilyn and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a home from X builder. Let them represent you, because if I come in and you Google me and you have me come in and inspect the house, I've seen this happen, and I tell you, hey, there's some missing flashing, there's some concerns with this house. You take them to the builder. Mr. Builder person is going to tell you there's nothing wrong with this house. It's perfect.
Right.
Yep.
And I have no ability to go and strong arm them or whatever. That is not what you hire me for. That's why you call Mike and Marilyn, say, I need somebody to represent me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I see it all the time, and I try and educate people every time. So
Well, appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to add too about new builds, speaking on them. Typically, they have their own in-house title company. And I will just say, so title premium is regulated and they're set by the state every year. And so those fees are non-negotiable. However, you may notice higher escrow fees because title companies, especially ones that are boutique, are able to raise those escrow fees, and those escrow those special little fees. So if you come across a closing statement and it says there's like an $800 or $900 escrow fee, make sure that you say, okay, I know it's negotiable. I would like to close with a different title company or the fees. And, you know, even if they're strict on, you know, keeping it at their in-house title company, our fees are lower than that, 100%. And everything is negotiable, and we can always give you a net sheet or something to show you the fees associated with us to prove that to them as well. So
Perfect. So if nobody has anything further to add, we all good?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch up on, just to piggyback off of Miss Kim, through the loan application, in working with the insurance and the real estate agent, once you start looking for some homes, we really like to be in contact with everybody involved. So once Marilyn does shoot over an address that you may like, we will actually, on your behalf, if you allow us to, run an insurance quote and run property taxes. That way we can give you, not to the penny, because all of these are estimates, but a monthly payment, where an estimated monthly payment where we think that it's going to fit your budget, or that we know is going to fit your budget. And also, not because, you know, we may give you a pre-approval for an example of 250,000, but depending on property taxes, you may be able to qualify more. A perfect example, I wrote a pre-approval for 190,000. Their property taxes, I kid you not, was about $450 to $500. And then they sent me a different property. It was about 225, and we're actually able to pre-approve them for that specific property because the taxes on that home was about like 250, so a lot less. So it all, and just like we talked about DTI and homeowners insurance, we can really play around with the numbers to see what best fits you.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Good information. So I promised at the beginning we'd keep it to an hour. We went a little bit over, but I think it was well worth the time. We shared a lot of information. Again, thank you everybody for joining us here, from the panel, the people that joined us on YouTube. Please drop a comment below. Let us know where you're from. If you have any questions, you know, we'd love to follow up with you. We're going to put our information in there. If we didn't answer all your questions, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you a little bit more, whether you're looking for a home now or later, or just looking for information. So thank you again for everybody joining us. Kendall, Kim, Tom, Julian, Marilyn. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you maybe on another one. So y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Have a great night.
bye,
Good night.
guys.
Bye.